So we continue with long run aggregate supply curve. We're rounding up long run aggregate supply curve. So we want to look into the Keynesian and the classical economists and what is their view, what their views are regarding the long run aggregate supply curve. So we're going to start with the classical economists. For the classical, we talked about them already. They believe that the market is clear, that in the long run, all wage rate, everything is fixed in the long run. That's why it's vertical. All resources are fully employed in the long run, according to the classical. So the vertical long run aggregate supply curve, this is the view of the classical economists. And they believe that even if there is disequilibrium, if the market doesn't clear, maybe the supply of is higher than the demand for, it's just going to be within a short period of time. The market would clear, the market will correct itself. That's according to the classical. Why is the market going to correct itself? The market will be able to correct itself within a short period of time because everything is fixed. There's no unused resources. So it's just going to be maybe an external shock that can easily be corrected. So for the classical economists, they believe resources are fully employed in the long run, that there's no unemployed resources. And that means we cannot change the wage rates for the classical economists. But for the Keynesian, they said no, that there are always situations where the market will never clear in the long run. And if the market doesn't clear, it simply means that there is unemployment within the economy. Because there could be a situation whereby we have recession. When we have recession, it is expected that there will be economic decline, which will lead to mass unemployment. So if there is mass unemployment, it doesn't necessarily mean the wage rate would increase or fall. The wage rate is not even going to fall. Because during mass unemployment, it is expected that when there is mass unemployment, it means the supply of labor will be more than demand for labor. And if the supply of labor is more than demand for labor, it is expected that the wage rate would fall, because people will be willing to take any amount of money to get a job. That is what it means. But for the Keynesian, they argue that mass unemployment does not literally mean that people would be willing to take a wage cut. And what are the reasons why people might not be willing to take a wage cut? Or what are the conditions that warrant wage cuts not applicable during mass unemployment? So I wrote here, okay? Well, okay. Yeah, for example, workers might be part of the trade union. So one of the reasons why, even during unemployment, mass unemployment, workers would not accept a wage cut is because they are part of the trade union. And you know what a trade union is? These are a group of people, a group of organizations that have come together, a group of workers that have come together to protect the interest of workers. So because they can protect the interest of workers, it simply means they can negotiate for high salary or high wages for workers. So it will be difficult for firms to cut wages of workers because there is mass unemployment. Because those workers are part of the trade union. That's the first one. The second one, there could be high unemployment in certain areas and there's full employment in some areas. So it might be that in some part of the country there is full employment, and in other part of the countries there is mass unemployment. This could be as a result of workers not being able to move from one place to another. So it might be as a result of occupational immobility of labor or geographical immobility of labor. So if there is geographical immobility of labor or occupational immobility of labor, it could also bring about mass unemployment, and that does not literally mean you can reduce the amount you pay to workers. Get the point here. There could be mass unemployment because there is immobility of labor. And when we talk about immobility of labor, it could be occupational immobility or geographical immobility. So if these two things happen, it's not because individuals do not have work, it's because they are not flexible to get a job. So that does not mean that we should reduce the wage rate. That's the second point. The third point, firms themselves might be reluctant. They might feel reluctant to reduce the wage rate of workers. Because if you reduce the amount you pay to workers might be demotivated. And if they are demotivated, it means they would reduce their productivity. So these are the reasons why, even if there is mass unemployment, you cannot reduce the wage rate of workers. Or workers might not accept wage cuts. Do you get it? So this means that during mass unemployment, we cannot reach, that means during mass unemployment, we can be at 0Y1. But to reach 0Y2, which means, according to the long run aggregate supply curve, to be the same as the classical, it means we have to reach full employment. The difference between long run aggregate supply curve of the classical and the Keynesian is that the response of workers to wage cuts during mass unemployment. According to the classical, they believe there won't be unemployment because wage rate is flexible, which means the demand for labor equals to the supply of labor. That is why it is fixed. But for the Keynesian, they said the market is never cleared, that there will be a time that there is mass unemployment, for example, during recession. So during recession, the output can increase without even increasing the numbers of workers, because firms can use equipment. There's always going to be a substitute to workers, which is equipment. So we can use equipment to increase our output without necessarily employing more workers. That is according to the Keynesian. But if the economy, according to the classical, to reach its fullest at this point, it means the economy will try to reach full employment. Reaching full employment at Y2 will mean that the price level would rise. Yet there's no price level rising, it is constant. But for the Keynesian, they believe there's always going to be mass unemployment, which means we can only operate at 0 Y1. That's why I wrote here that if the economy is aiming at increasing output towards the Y2, if the economy is trying to go towards Y2, it will mean that you can see that the price level has, from here down here, the price level is constant. But as soon as it moves upward to the long run aggregate supply curve here, in the long run, to reach full employment, it will bring about demand for labor increasing more than supply of labor. Then the price level would rise. Get the point here. At this point, the economy, the industry can still operate, produce without employing workers, because there's always a substitute to workers. But if the economy is trying to reach full employment, getting towards Y2, it would mean that the long run aggregate supply curve will move upward, and therefore the price level would increase. Why is the price level increasing when the economy is trying to reach full employment? If the economy is trying to reach full employment, it means there's no worker that is left without a job. It means everybody has a job. And if all of us have a job, it means the demand for labor would increase more than the supply of labor. And if the demand for labor increases, it means the wage rate is expected to increase. And if the wage rate increases, firms will not have any other choice than to transfer the high wage rate to the price of their product. So according to the Keynesian, if the economy is reaching this level, is aiming at this level, it is expected that the price level would increase. That's the difference between the Keynesian and the classical. The classical believe that the economy is at its full capacity and the price level is constant. But for the Keynesian, they believe that there's a time, and there's a long period of time, that the economy is not, the market is not clear, that there is mass unemployment. And if there is mass unemployment, and if the economy is trying to reach full employment, it would have meant that the demand for labor is more than the supply of labor. And if the demand for labor is more than the supply of labor, it is expected that the wage rate increases, which will bring about an increase in the price level. So that's the difference between Keynesian and classical. Is it clear? And that's in chapter 31.